So, you know how, like, I made a team reveal video recently enough, and, a lot of people watched it, a lot of people were excited, and a lot of people were talking about, like, hey, not a bad choice. I wish you would have done this, though, but I'm excited. Well, that team is still in the play. It is still a team that I will be being for Madden 24. However, I have decided to shift that team to our online franchise, which I still think is going to be a lot of fun. I just think that the Bears are a team that is actually, especially in Madden, so much closer than I wouldn't say people realize, because in real life it's a different situation, but in game they are a very talented team. We've already looked at them, but I probably will take another look at them to compare them with the team that we have decided for our offline franchise, which I think is an equally fun team. And I think with that being said, it's time to just take a look and see which is going to be the Houston Texans. I think a lot of people knew that was going to be the case, but it is a team that I think needs more work than the Chicago Bears do by a mile. Even when you look at just quarterback alone, CJ Stroud is a guy that there's probably going to be maybe 4 or 5 rookie quarterbacks on average per CPU class that is on par or better than him. Should maybe actually show him real quick, as he is I believe a 74 overall, if I'm not mistaken. And if the Madden school website, whatever development traits are to be believed, which I imagine they would be, CJ Stroud is going to be star development trait, kind of expected, but very mid throwing ability. 89 throw power, lesser than Geno Smith by quite a bit. Accuracies, he's really just a younger Geno Smith, to be honest, which isn't like bad, but like I said, there's going to be a lot of quarterbacks that are already better than him, literally out the gate as a CPU class. And then, the big thing is with the Bears, their wide receivers are pretty solid. DJ Moore is a true number one. Claypool's kind of usable, but Mooney's definitely usable. Fields is one of the better quarterbacks in the game because of that speed, good enough accuracies and whatnot. Even Khalil Herbert, the running back's okay, but it's a team that fits a little bit more with an online league where it's not just the team building aspect you're worried about, but actually winning games. I think we could win a lot of games offline with the Bears literally right out the gate, whereas the Texans, especially since it's in the tougher conference, I think could be really challenging. This could be a team where we don't even win like 4 games out the gate because they actually just need so much. They do have some cornerstone pieces. Obviously Dameon Pierce is going to be fun. He's pretty solid. Laramie Tunsil is a franchise tackle. Obviously Shaq Mason is a pretty good guard, but guys like Dalton Schultz replaced. Denzel Perriman replaced. Singletary, I don't even know how much I'll use of him, but he won't be a long-term guy. Jimmy Ward, even though he's an 87 overall, assuming he's star dev, he'll be replaced out the gate. King's replaced. Kicker's replaced. Griffin's replaced. Nelson's replaced. Will Anderson, obviously, cornerstone. Stingley, cornerstone. Petrie, probably cornerstone. Woods replaced. Rankin's replaced. Punches replaced. Hughes replaced. Probably replace Howard. Replace Kirksey. Mechie is a guy that you have to develop long-term. I think he's already 23, 24. Malik Collins replaced. Noah Brown replaced. Phillips replaced. Greener. You get the point, right? Like, a lot of these guys are just names that you're hoping can, like, be something in real life, but in a Madden, like, standpoint, you're not going to, right? Nico Collins, maybe. I don't know. But Tank Dell, a lot of fun, but once again, very raw. I'm not sure I'm going to compare these guys cleanly, but I'm going to try to with the Bears just to show you the real difference between these two teams. And once again, the offline league, I don't know if I would say it's a league that I intend to play more seasons of, but it kind of just happens. But like I've said in the community poll about should we switch the teams, which it seems like most people are in agreement, I thank you, like-minded people. I just think that because it's an online league, you could have literally the best team in the game, and you still might not win. Whereas if you're playing against a CPU and you have a decent team, you're probably going to do pretty good. And another thing is, with the Bears being the online team, Lance is going to be the Panthers, the guy that you guys all hate because he plays really well and wins a lot. He's probably going to make the playoffs with the Panthers early on. I don't know if the AI Panthers make it. I really don't. Whereas the Texans, they have the Browns first-round pick, I believe. The AI Browns might be decent, whereas usually in our league, not usually, but there's like a 50-50 chance that the Browns might not be great in our online league. We don't actually know who the user is just yet. We're still kind of early in the process, but I've chosen the Bears so far. But basically, the draft picks would be flipped if we would have go the same route. Panthers probably suck. We get really good draft picks. The Bears, who already have a really good young roster, get even better. We win a Super Bowl year 2 in-game, offline, and, people are bored. But online, I mean, it might be 5 seasons we don't win a single Super Bowl. Who knows? Because it's tough out there playing against other users, but you have a little bit more to work with than the Texans. And once again, the Texans division for an online league is pretty tough. Anthony Richardson, Lawrence, they're tough. Derrick Henry's not a fun guy to play against. Jonathan Taylor's not a fun guy to play against. But, I just think it was a better decision. And we're going to try to compare these players now just to show you, I would say the Bears win at least 80% of these matchups. And I looked at it. It is not what I want, so I'm going to be doing this a little bit differently. One of the positions that we would expect that the Texans would win in is definitely Dameon Pierce, the running back situation. But once again, a position that is not the hardest to develop anyways. A lot of fun in Dameon Pierce, so might be able to see him become a true awesome running back. And then looking at the Bears, not quite the same, but you definitely do have a usable guy in Khalil Herbert, who I don't know if that's going to be the guy I use. I really, really want Roschon Johnson to work because he's a rookie, and in general, he's a fun player to watch. But I just don't know with the way they did his speed in game that I'm going to be able to pull that off. But obviously, for the first battle, the Bears do lose. You know what? It's not the first battle because even though it's clear-cut obvious that Justin Fields is better in game than Stroud, the wide receiver position for the Bears is so much better too that it bears no repeating, but I might as well since otherwise we're just going to have to skip it. Fields, for obvious reasons, 93 speed, a 95 excel, 91 throw power. Accuracies are, pretty low 80s, whereas Stroud, 89 and throw power, just enough speed to get it done, which should still be a little bit of fun. But then obviously looking at the accuracies, pretty similar to Fields, but once again, the speed difference, the throw power of 2 is pretty big too, but that speed, you can't teach it. You can make a CJ Stroud, you can't make a Justin Fields. Then you move on to wide receiver where it's just not even close. I mean, you could argue, even though Chase Claypool is a little bit up there in the age now for developing, you could argue that Chase Claypool is better than any of Houston's wide receivers, as their best is kind of Tank Dell because he's a little bit younger than Mechie and they're both similar, but there's no true X receiver on this team, and I think it's just so much more fun to develop wide receivers and running backs and tight ends, and of the teams that we were looking at, this is probably the lowest team when it comes to wide receiver. You probably will want to develop Mechie and Tank Dell, but you still need that X receiver, and you never know if Mechie is going to work out in game, so could be a position change there as well. So you might need to draft and develop 2 wide receivers, but obviously it's just not even close that the Bears clearly win this matchup. And then I will say this position is actually very even, with honestly almost arguing that the Texans win because Brevin Jordan, even though he's a little bit older now than he was when he was a rookie, obviously, it's kind of how life works, is usable because he's young. And, Dalton Schultz and Cole Kmet are almost like a draw, even though Cole Kmet's a little bit younger. But with Cole Kmet, you are locked in a little bit longer. He just signed a massive, a 4-year 50 or a 5-year 40, one of the two. But both tight ends I'd probably be looking to replace, as I love those Gronk types. Who doesn't? And then O-line, it's actually a little closer than you think. I know that Houston has a couple of cornerstone pieces with Tunsil and Mason, but I don't know where the devs are going to be placed. Kenyon Green, I would assume, loses the dev. Howard, I think, already was only normal, so that would be 2 hidden development or star plus linemen in Tunsil and Shaq Mason, who are insane, don't get me wrong. But then if you look over at the Bears, Tevin Jenkins should still be star. Nate Davis should still be star. Darnell Wright is star. And then Braxton Jones could be star. So yes, you're taking a mad hit with the overalls and the cornerstone-ness, if you will, but you are getting younger across the board, usable star plus dev players. So you can almost argue the Bears are better than them, assuming the guys that I said for the Texans are correct. But those cornerstone pieces for the Texans are very good. But for a team building standpoint, which is kind of the tougher part, it is better for the Texans because you need 3 linemen, whereas the Bears only technically need 1. But in an online league, it's not really the team building process. It's more about the team progressing, because it's very hard to acquire new players in an online league, but it's the developing that's the kind of more fun and more crucial part. So you kind of want the names. You just don't want them to be that good because it's more fun to develop them, but it's really hard to actually acquire them, if that makes any sense. And then we look at the D-line, where both teams struggle mightily. There's not much to say here. The Texans need a lot of work. Will Anderson is the cornerstone beast. Every other player probably needs to be replaced. And then on the Bears side, you could pretty much argue that they just have nobody, right? Gervon Dexter and Zach Pickens were their rookies, their bigger name rookies. Maybe usable. I'm not really sure what their ages are. I kind of feel like I'd seen somewhere that they are kind of little on the older side, but that strength is low. They're not very good. Both teams' D-line suck, but obviously because Houston does have that very good Will Anderson, they obviously get the nod slightly. And then you look at the linebackers. Houston might have a few younger, like maybe long-term guys. You know, maybe Christian Harris is probably your main user. Blake Cashman has potential. Henry To'oto, very hard to say his name. Might have to replace him just because I'm going to suck at saying his name. Is usable. Whereas you look at the Bears side, it's like Tremaine Edmonds is leaps and bounds better than anyone that Houston has. But TJ Edwards, even though he was a bigger name and probably will be pretty good for them, is a little on the slower side, so he's usable, but probably someone you look to replace. So in an online league, I'd actually maybe arguably rather have the Houston Texans linebackers, but technically the Bears do take the nod here because it's just so much higher of overalls. And then the final position, which is DB. It's hard to say that the Bears aren't the better team, but their athleticism is lacking quite a bit. But Houston does have two players I obviously really like, is Stingley and Petrie, which I mean it's probably gonna be like his name is Pitre or something. I don't even know, but those two are really nice. But I think the Bears probably do have the nod here. Kyler Gordon, someone I probably look to replace early, as that speed is probably going to be unusable. Brisker's great strong safety. Jalen Johnson, though, I mean, the speed for Madden, it really doesn't work. I honestly argue putting Kyler Gordon as the number 3 with Tyreek Stevenson because of the little bit better speed and excel at number 2. Hell, you maybe even argue Terrell Smith. This is a team that probably gets a lot of people offering draft picks for their corners. They've got some names that are just fast enough, and you can't start them all, like Uje Moutier, if he's still star. Tradable, probably. Jalen Jones, tradable because of the speed. Pretty sure he's still pretty young, right? Terrell Smith, if you're not going to use him, tradable, but he is a rookie, so I kind of want to keep him. Vildor, maybe usable. It's a team with a lot of good corners, but they are lacking in the speed a little bit, so I do like Stingley and Petrie as their, as better cornerstone 2 players, but the Bears do have more than just 2 players. Brisker, Johnson, Kyler Gordon, Tyreek Stevenson, arguably Terrell Smith. I'd say it's pretty close, but just because of the pure depth, the Bears do get the nod there. So, I mean, if you were taking, count, the Bears win on pretty much every single thing other than D-line and running back. The Bears just have a lot of depth in game. It's a young team, but it's a very usable Madden team. It's like kind of how the Ravens for years have been drafting Madden favorite players in their real life drafts. And that's kind of what matters when you're selecting a team. A guy that I keep pointing out to, even it's because I'm probably a Packers fan. I mean, I am a Packers fan, but probably because I am, is Luke Musgrave, a 66 overall tight end, drafted in the second round. Somehow only a 66 overall, but 87 speed, 89 excel, 6'6 rookie tight end. It's a 66 overall that is almost one of the better tight ends in the game because of that unteachable stuff, which the Bears, in comparison to the Texans, do have that on them. So it's a team that is like middle of the pack for an online, but because you can control the draft pretty well, because the CPU is going to draft pretty linearly. I don't even know if that's even a word at this point, but you can kind of know what's going to happen. The Bears are just so good already for that, that statement with the draft picks that I think they would just be too good too early, whereas in an online league, like we said, you could have the best team in the league and still not win. So there's question marks there, but with the Texans, that's a team that's going to struggle online or offline. So that's why I decided to switch them. You pretty much knew that it was going to be the Bears and the Texans, and I obviously can't control if some other team or some other content creator uses one or the other or both. The world doesn't revolve around me, so it'd be great if I have two franchise teams, greedy me, that no one else creates for, a series on, but at the end of the day, I can't control that, and I hope you guys are still willing to rock with me with these 2 franchises. I think they're going to be so much fun. Please, EA, do not ruin the servers, because this Bears franchise could be our most special online franchise yet, and I finally have a decent quarterback out the gate that's not too good, because he is 24 and he needs more quarterback ratings up, and I don't think he has the greatest throw motion in the game, but definitely one of the better ones we've had in online, and maybe we turn him into a superstar, maybe an X Factor, and we become a read option GOAT. We basically do this for RG3. We're doing it for RG3. Not really, to be honest, but yeah. Also, another side note is that, our last time we did the Bears franchise was an offline league, so this time it's online. Definitely a completely different dynamic, and I hope you're as excited for this as I am. I took a lot of time thinking about the teams, and in general, do I want to switch which one is online and which one's offline, and I think this just makes so much sense. I just couldn't pass up on it. And I'm hoping you guys are, like I said, as excited as I am. And tomorrow should be the Miners 10-year rebuild, which I have only started 2 seasons on. Literally at the point of right now, it's 1 a.m. on Friday. I'm a little worried, but let's get this grind on and finish out strong into Madden 24. Don't know what the upload schedule is, but just know that Monday, assuming that is when uploads will begin, Monday or Tuesday, but I'm almost 1,000% sure it's Monday. Expect content. Expect at least 2 or 3 videos a day for maybe the whole week. I don't know, but it's coming up, dude. I'm excited. Hopefully you guys are as well. Maybe leave a like, maybe subscribe if you're new. Follow me on Twitter, Jeromepkr, second channel PKR Plays, which, I'll have a zombies video up later today on that channel, more than likely, if not Sunday. Anyways, thanks for watching. If the guys come back for next video, but until next video, love you and see ya.